Today, we explore an exciting theme, unlocking the secrets of the Akashic Records and access codes in one place, the power of your voice with Mike Murphy.
Hey guys, welcome to the Power of Your Voice podcast, and I'm your host, Mike Murphy, and super grateful that you're here. I know you're going to hear something powerful today and that's going to resonate with you, but odds are it's going to resonate with others and will be a gift if they can hear this content as well. So I just ask you, if you like the content, if you like the show, and it's growing, so I'm very grateful for that, because we're all about giving back, helping people to realize that they're powerful creators and that victimhood has got to go, and we're here to really grow and evolve, and that's what this show is about. We have an amazing guest today. I know you're going to benefit, so if you do hear something powerful, share it with someone that would also benefit from it. We'd really appreciate it. Give us the old thumbs up, subscribe, and all that stuff that I don't like to talk about. So joining me right now from Portland, Oregon, or outside Portland, Oregon, is Patty Oliver. Welcome to the show, Patty.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for having me.
I love that blue on you, by the way. It really pops on my screen here. So just if you could get 30, 40 seconds, tell the audience who you are for us.
Sure. Well, I am an energy healer. I specialize in Reiki and something called the Akashic Records, which is the record of your soul and your personal energy. And I help clients all over the world to release negative patterns, release victimhood, as you said in that introduction, to reach their highest potential in this lifetime according to their soul blueprint.
Awesome. And I really resonate with all that. And we have some unique experiences as well. We both lost a spouse, so we both experienced grief, which for me was the most devastating event of my life and has turned out to be one of my greatest blessings. What was it like for you?
Exactly the same, Mike. We were soulmates and best friends, which I think is the ultimate way to be.
Yes.
And but he had passed. We were only together for 7 years, but it was probably the most significant relationship of my lifetime. Very pivotal for me personally in many ways, and it was very traumatic. And I carried that with me into my next relationship, which I probably needed more time to heal before I did that. I carried a lot of expectations and baggage like we all do. And so it ended up, affecting that relationship as well. And I do believe led to my own health crisis, which was breast cancer in 2007.
So what I heard from you just there is that there's a possible connection between emotional stuff and physical ailments. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a lot to unpack in that statement, but yes, because everything is energy.
Yes.
It starts with your words, your mindset, your emotions, and your actions that you take. And we can make one of two energetic choices at any given time, one that serves us or one that doesn't. And we usually are very unconscious about our choices that we make, and we tend to keep making the same choices over and over and over again. And anything that is out of balance at the mental, emotional, spiritual level will reflect ultimately in the physical body as disease, chronic conditions, ailments, because it can't not. That energy has to go somewhere. It doesn't just leave because we ignore it.
Right.
It tends to go deeper. It tends to pervade all other areas of our life. And that's why we feel sometimes when we're at the age of our 40s and 50s, it's like everything is wrong and this is out of whack and I don't understand. And that's because we haven't addressed certain things. And it will go to parts of the body that are relevant. Like for me with breast cancer is a fourth chakra issue, chakras of the body. And you
had a broken, but you also had a broken heart.
And a broken heart,
okay.
Yes. Well, because our relationships are a reflection of how we feel about ourselves.
Right.
And I had a lot of anxiety about fitting in, about being accepted, about being good enough. And I struggled with that until I met this wonderful person who helped me pivot. And I believe that we have those twin flames out there,
Yes.
or mentors. It doesn't necessarily have to be romantic, that say, hey, it's time to pivot. It's
Yeah.
time to get on a different timeline, and we're going to send you this person to help you do that.
Right.
And I believe that was the case.
And I believe that was the case in my life as well. You know, and I love the teaching of Plato and twin flames for the audience out there. If you want to know more, Google it. But it's a powerful story. It basically says we're one soul cut in half. We spend many lifetimes looking for that other half. And I love the work of Carolyn Mace, who said that
Yes.
your soulmate may not be the greatest love of your life, but it's the one that is going to drive that spear through your heart and soul and make you evolve and grow no matter what. And that's really the power there.
Absolutely. It could be a mentor, it could be a coach, it could be a best friend, it could be a grandparent. I mean, it does not have to be solely this romantic idea. And I do try to talk people out of that if they come to me saying, I need to find my soulmate, my twin flame. And I said, well, first let's talk about that, because
Right.
you're whole and perfect as you are. You don't need that. But
Right.
but what that twin flame does is brings out the best in you.
Right. Makes
Yeah.
you grow. There's a million things I'd love to talk to you about, but because so many people are experiencing loss right now and going through a grief. And grief it doesn't mean a death. It could be a divorce. It could be a loss of job. You know, the pandemic. Everybody's experienced a lot of loss. So, in your overcoming your grief, any particular steps or anything that the audience could really benefit from?
Well, unfortunately, it took a crisis to first of all wake me up, because I think I didn't handle it as well as I could have in the beginning. I kind of wallowed in it and then didn't really change anything about myself. It was at a time where energy healing wasn't really talked about as much as it is today. But once I decided that I had this wake-up call and I'm the only person who can make myself happy and empower myself, which for me was a new concept, that's when everything changed, because I had made a decision. Everyone needs to decide what's going to empower them to be happy, to be joyful, to be fulfilled, and that is highly individual. For me, I felt that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, even though I had two beautiful children, but I had this desire in me to create something. And while I was healing from chemo and surgery, I had a lot of time to consider that. And I decided that for me, not only to be an entrepreneur, but to be financially independent, given the situation that I was in personally, that's what I needed to do. But I also wanted to be mom. So I thought, well, I'm going to study skincare and I'm going to open a spa, because I want people to have a place to go on a regular basis where they can feel whole and safe and loved and just calm and peaceful for a short amount of time.
Right.
And literally, I went to night school for a year. I loved it. It was exhausting and exhilarating. And when you're on task, Mike, you get that.
Right.
You receive that.
Right.
And I loved it. And I opened my spa against all the naysayers.
Mm-hmm.
And literally 3 to 4 weeks after I opened, I was introduced to energy healing in a really kind of bizarre way, because it was time, according to the universe. I received a call one night from someone I didn't know very well. And I said, hey, we're having a networking meeting. We'd like you to come. I'm all over that, right?
Right.
So I'm like, okay, although it's late, it's dark, I don't know, this is kind of weird. But it was a synchronicity, right, for the universe. And it will come in for you to take advantage of or not. I thought, this is too strange. I have to go. And I ended up meeting someone who said he was an energy healer. And I thought, what is that? And he says, well, I do Reiki. And I said, well, what is that? And he says, well, I put my hands over you and draw in energy and place it on you to create healing. And I thought, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Right.
You know, they pay you for this, right?
Yeah.
Really? And I'm highly skeptical. But I had a brief treatment. And the next day I was blown away with how good I felt. I was having some residual pain from the breast cancer. That was gone. And I thought, oh my goodness, I have to do this. This
Yeah.
totally fits my mission. And it's like this, the more I followed those breadcrumbs
Yeah.
and just decided to not be afraid, the more it showed up. So I got certified in Reiki and started adding it to my treatments. And that was the beginning of my energy healing career that
Yeah.
I didn't know I was going to have.
Because, you know, Tesla said if you want to understand the universe, you have to understand energy, vibration, and frequency.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it is just a matter, literally, of changing your vibration, but it's really not easy to do.
Exactly. And one of the things that helps you, and you touched on this briefly, but when we have a higher purpose, when we have something that we're really excited about, all of a sudden we start to vibrate at a higher frequency. Now we have more energy, and now it's easier to be a creator instead of being a victim.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, if you resist that calling,
Yes.
it can be an amazing sort of misery that you
Yes.
never
Yeah.
had to-
No. Listen, I get it. You know, I've been called to build this healing retreat center in Medellin, Colombia. And every time I come up with an excuse not to do it, bam. I mean, and here's people, I'm not creating it. It's being created through me. I'm the conduit, okay? This intention showed up to my life for a lot of reasons. And so it's something that must be done. I can't stop it.
That's how it was
Yeah.
for me. It was like, it was just a natural thing to do. Even though I was skeptical, it was like I was being drawn into
Right.
it, whether I wanted to or not. And then I remember one day, you know, I had to make a decision because I got super busy with the energy healing. And I thought, well, I can't do both. And I'm really not ready to have this great big business. Maybe I'll sell the skincare and focus mainly on this. And again, people are like, well, what are you doing? That's crazy. That's the money-making side of things. And I thought, I can't tell you why. And it, you know, once I set that intention, because everything is about intention, and we're always putting out intentions, whether we know it or not.
Right.
Literally, like the next week, I had someone come in, a client who I'd seen many times. She was on my table and she said, Patty, if you ever wanted to sell your skincare business, I'd love to buy it from you. I was like, oh my goodness. So I was getting all the right responses from the universe.
Right.
And then that opened up a whole other intuitive side I didn't know I had in work in past lives.
But isn't that fascinating, you know? Because once we're in tune, and once that intention has been set up, and you said something very important, everybody's operating from intention. Everybody's using the law of attraction because that's how everything comes into the physical reality. We just don't know how it works, so we don't understand it. So most of the stuff is coming from our programming as a childhood in our subconscious, and that's never been questioned. And so that's why we're out of balance. We're all out of balance because until you realize that, and I like to say move from the head to the heart and start operating from this beautiful heart. Now you set intentions from this beautiful heart. Now the universe is working with you, not against you. And now the right people show up, the right things show up, and life gets easy. You talk about manifestation, and that's really about what I'm about too. I wrote a book called The Creation Frequency. It's all about writing intentions and then acting as if they already exist because there's no difference between imagination and reality. And what I teach, I created an app where people can record these intentions and theta brainwave music and listen every morning, every night. What's your process of manifestation?
Well, I use the Akashic Records.
Okay. Let's go into that. I really have a question for you there. Okay. I'm glad you went there with that. I read a long time ago, Deepak Chopra, he's in India, and, you know, they go into a store where they can tell you your past, okay? And he goes into the store. It's like a reading, I guess, but they go into the back and they pull out a piece of plant, I forget what it's called, and then it's written. His entire history has been written down. Who he was married, who he was going to marry, kids he was going to have, when he's going to die, is already written down. Explain.
Yes, it's called your Akashic Record, and everything is literally recorded. And so your Akashic Record is like an energetic database, if you will. And it holds all the information.
How did this get written down? What I did some research. It seems like there's these yogis or these great spiritual masters that would sit and meditate, and they could see this, and then they would record it. I mean, that's mind blowing to me.
esoterically, I believe,
Yeah.
and energetically,
Yeah.
and it can be accessed intuitively,
Yes.
and then perhaps you see it, if you will, that way,
Yeah.
through your third eye. That's how I
Okay. Perfect.
do it. But it can be accessed, and it holds all the information about your gifts, your strengths, your attributes, because you are meant to be happy, joyful, and abundant while you're here, but you must choose it,
Yeah.
because we're blessed or cursed. Sometimes it seems with free will. And so you must choose it. And sometimes our gifts aren't naturally what we think they are, obviously.
Yes.
And it also holds your karma, which is the energy of those choices that you've made in past lives,
Right.
which did not serve your soul growth and your higher good. And your karma is highly individual to you. It's not about what's done to you, because that's the other person's karma.
Right.
It's how you respond to what's been done to you.
Yeah.
And if you make a negative choice, which is non-judgmental, like fear, anxiety, to play small, to not speak your truth, or to be angry, to be a victim, all of those classic archetypes that we think of. And if you choose those, which is your free will, it doesn't serve you, and it will continue, because laws of karma kick in and say it will persist until balanced out by new choice, no matter how many lifetimes that's going to take. So you will come in with similar energies or similar circumstances that feel like the original karma, to try again. So that ends up being all the repeating patterns that you can't seem to change, right? Your money problems, your health problems, even relationship challenges, drama, all of that, over and over and over. And it's all on subconscious. You said earlier that we just don't really bring awareness.
Right.
We don't ask why. And so one of the things that I teach in my online course, which I just put out on how to access and read your own Akashic Records, is to balance yourself, again, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And it has to do with bringing awareness. Like, why am I thinking these things? Why do I still have this trigger? How do I release this trigger? I no longer need this. It's no longer serving me. And that's why it can be so difficult, because it's really self-introspection that a lot of us don't want to do.
Right.
It's easier to say it's happening to me, or someone else is doing this to me, or the world's against me. And it's
today's world, it's easier to scroll down Instagram for an hour or watch Netflix for all day, right? And that we've lost our connection to our soul, I think, and we need to reconnect and realize we're not here to watch Netflix and post on Facebook. We're here to evolve and to grow and to create and to make this place better than what we found it. And I find when we have that purpose, life gets a lot richer and deeper.
I absolutely agree on all counts.
I want to ask you this. While you were talking, and you mentioned, we might make a decision based on fear. And so when we come to this, I'm just curious. I'm throw something crazy out there. I'm just curious your opinion. So here I am. I got to make a decision. So I can make a fear-based decision, or I can make a love-based decision. And people talk about parallel universes. So for example, I make this fear-based decision, but in another universe somewhere, this love-based decision is playing out. Do you think that's a possibility?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Parallel lives. Yes. That is a real thing, and it can affect you deeply. Yes. And that's the concept of multiple timelines. And there is a choice playing out that's taking energy.
Yes.
So oftentimes what I will do is part of my own clearing process, and you can even ask this. I mean, you're in charge. When you're in a physical body, you are in charge.
Yeah. But let me just add, because we're not the physical body, and we're not the thoughts. We are eternal, timeless consciousness. We are spirit. We are soul. We are energy. That's why. But we forget, and pretty soon the body's in charge, and that we're over here doing this stuff, or the crazy mind is in charge, and we're over here doing this stuff. We got to realize who we really are.
Yes, that's having ego in charge versus having soul in charge.
Right.
And
There you go.
and that's why I always call it, I say live a soul powered life. When you let your soul lead the way and get ego out of the way. Now we need ego, right? It does serve a purpose, but we've gotten to the point where we're all ego based and
Yes.
survival mode.
Yes.
And you know, it's those love based decisions that can be tough to make.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes it means we have to say no. We have to stop enabling other people,
Yes.
maybe. We have to leave a relationship that's not serving us. We have to leave a career and start that beautiful, amazing business. And that's really scary. And we like that stability. We like that predictability of making the same choice over and over again, even if it's not serving us.
Right.
And that's how ego can get in the way, because ego, you know, it wants to keep you safe, right? Well, quote, keeping you safe means staying in the same pattern because something new is scary and unpredictable.
Right. Yeah. And so, and then Tony Robbins talks about the 6 human needs, and one is certainty and one is uncertainty. And so it's balancing that, right? Because if you just stay in certainty, you become a fear-based person, and pretty soon you don't even leave the house. And if you're totally always in uncertainty, there's no balance. You're not grounded, right? And so it's balancing those two, that because the uncertainty is taking that leap of faith, saying, hey, I'm gonna step out in a leap of faith that I can do this. And I find the more evolved I become, the more self-realized I become, the more comfortable I become in my skin, then I become more powerful.
Absolutely. And that's one of the secrets to manifesting, is leaning into the uncertainty, letting go of what you think you want the result to be, because it could be completely not what's actually going to serve you. And if, again, it's that resistance. If you keep fighting it, it's miserable. And knowing that you will be trusted by the universe to have your back. It is a cliche, but it's very true. The universe rewards you taking that risk,
right,
and going outside your comfort zone and embracing the energy that you want to be, not the energy that you currently have. Right? It's like, and so I will teach this to individuals based on who they are at soul level and what they want to create. It's like, well, okay, so this is the thing you want to create, but what's the energy of that thing you want to create? What does it mean to you? Is it fulfillment? Is it joy? Is it peace? Is it whatever it is? And then you need to start making choices and taking action that resonates to that energy you want. And then you become that which you seek. You mentioned earlier about Tesla and the secrets to the universe. It's totally true. And as you lean into that energy that you want to be, and you do it scared and you do it anyway, you witness a shift around you. New people come in, new opportunities flow in. And sometimes what happens at first, and this is why when I work with someone and I teach it in my course, you want to clear your karma first, because until you clear your karma, you're only going to get more of that and then it makes what you want a little bit further away, but certainly not unattainable. And so sometimes people think it's wrong when they first start trying to manifest. It's like, well, but I got all this negativity coming up. I've got these people I'm arguing with. I've got this money that's going out there. I just lost my job. It's like, oh no, this is good. You've got to keep going, because you've got to clear these things first. They're not serving you.
So elaborate a little bit. How do I clear my karma?
By recognizing and accepting your negative patterns at first, right? Saying, yes, I am doing this negative choice, right? Yes, I am choosing anger. Yes, I am choosing fear. Yes, I am using alcohol to cope. Yes, I have been unkind in the past. Whatever it is.
So conscious awareness and self-honesty.
Absolutely. You have to be brutally honest. This is what I tell people. You have to be willing to be brutally honest with yourself and say, yes, I have chosen this. But the neat thing about being human is that we have time in most cases to course correct.
Yes.
And make a new choice.
Yep.
And then you have to keep choosing it. And then you have to unwind that in other areas of your life where you probably are repeating the same pattern. You just don't realize it.
Yes, so powerful. I'm thinking about the 12 steps and the fourth step where you take a fearless and moral inventory and then you write it all down and then you share it with one other person and then you burn it. And that's a great way to release any of this karmic stuff, huh?
Absolutely. And it does always require new action on your part,
Yes.
right? It's
Yes.
thinking it's not enough.
Yes.
Telling yourself you're going to isn't
Yes.
enough. You
Action.
must actually do the really difficult thing and do it.
So what was cool, you know, we're building this 2-week healing retreat center down here, and every Saturday we have a healing sweat lodge ceremony. And so in planning it today, we started thinking, okay, why don't we get these people to write down every regret, every guilt, every shame, write it all down, everybody they've ever harmed. We'll go out into the labyrinth, we'll say prayers, we'll burn it, and we'll go into the sweat lodge and we'll anchor it, and we'll come out reborn, right? And so my partner in this project, Pablo, says, let's call it a forgiveness ceremony. And it just resonated with me. I just love the way of, I know the process is very powerful, but labeling it a forgiveness ceremony, because that's what we all need. We need to forgive ourselves and others, and when we're free.
Absolutely. We're the hardest on ourselves. We're the least objective about ourselves. And I think that's why it makes
Why is that? Why is that?
I don't know. I think maybe we've been trained.
Programmed from birth. You know, let me throw this at you. I'm 3 years old. I'm in theta brainwave state. I'm a sponge. I'm self-hypnosis. Who are my gods? Mommy and daddy. Okay? Little 3-year-old Mikey gets up on the coffee table. He actually knocks over their vodka and soda. Okay? All hell breaks loose. All of a sudden, this little perfect soul has gotten hurt. You know, maybe for the first time. And then I'm in the kindergarten and they won't let me play in the sandbox. And we start to get hurt. Do you think that has something to do with it?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing about when we make choices when we're young, and of course we don't think of it that way when you're that age, you know, we don't have the capacity to
process.
Think, it's like, well, mommy and daddy are just having a bad day.
Right.
Or I know I didn't mean to do it on purpose, so I forgive them. I mean, they just aren't, they don't have the brain development.
Yeah, and so they get hurt. They get hurt and they contract a little bit. And every time they contract a little bit more. And so a little bit we move out of that heart and soul area, out of that fourth chakra, and we start moving into the insanity of the mind. The mind left unguarded, the mind left to its own devices, the program mind, I should say, is a dangerous place. And I think that's where all that negativity starts to come in from the mind, and then it affects the heart. And so we got to get out of the mind, back into the heart, but heal the heart before we move back in.
Yes, the ability to discern at the mental level is huge in terms of, you know, I don't have to believe every thought that runs through my head. And if it does keep popping up, it's like, well, where's the truth? Where's the proof?
Yes.
And I have free will to change that. And I'm going to change that, right? That's hard to do because we, again, we've been trained in early education to follow the rules, to not think outside the box. You know, the way they teach it doesn't offer creativity and different approaches.
Right.
And so we're like, well, there's something wrong with us if we don't do it the way we're supposed to.
The truth is they don't teach us to think. They teach us to memorize, regurgitate, and forget. They teach us to be good little workers. We show up at 8. We have a break at 10. We eat at noon. We have another break at 2. We go home at 4. I mean, if you really analyze the education system, it's all programming to make us little worker bees. And that doesn't, we come into all these systems. We're born into a medical system, family system, a religious system, an educational system. And we're our own sovereign being. We want freedom. We were given this gift of reality, physical reality, and then they want to put us in all these boxes. And now it's getting even worse. Now they want to put chips in our head and really take away our personal freedom. And that's I think that's where there's a huge disconnect from the heart and the world. And I think we're going through a massive change right now, and I think it's good ultimately, but there could be quite a bit of gnashing of the teeth until we get to a better world.
I do agree with you. All the systems need to fall apart so that they can be rebuilt, because that's how it works here. Unfortunately, we don't go from A to B.
Right.
A has to fall apart, and then we rebuild B.
Right.
And, our life and our karma is the same way. When you make a new choice, everything that is no longer a fit has to fall away.
Right.
And it can feel like the floor's been pulled out from under you, and it's scary. And sometimes people stop. And it's like, well, that's just the process of creation here. It's deconstruction and reconstruction.
Yes.
You have to buy into that.
I like to say it like this. If you and I were to walk into the forest right now, half the forest is dead and half is alive. And if we do it again 100 years from now, the half that was dead is now alive, and the half that was alive is now dead. That's it's all a big cycle, and we just got to find the pattern that works for us, and dive into that. I want to talk to you about this because you bring up past lives, and not everybody believes in past lives, but I do. And I'll never forget reading a couple of great books by an author named Michael Newton, which was The Journey of Souls, and I'm sure you're familiar with it. And so, the question I want to ask you. Because in the book, they talk about, we're soul, and there's soul schools in between physical incarnations. And you said we're here to work out karmic and all that. But why are we here? Because we live in the frequency of light, which is only 1% of all frequencies. So that means there's 99% other worlds going on right here, or frequencies, if you will. And we live in the world of duality. And so you can't have hot without cold, black without white. And I really believe that if we play this game right and we learn what we're told to learn in soul school when we got here, if we learn it, we can perhaps graduate to a higher frequency where perhaps we don't find ourselves in an animal body. Perhaps you and I can now communicate telepathically so we can never take advantage of one another. And we live in a more peaceful, whole environment. What do you think about all that?
I totally agree with you. I totally believe that we're meant to find the creator within.
Yes.
And we can't do that if we aren't faced with duality, because we have to choose it in a free will environment. And for many people, it's just taking lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes of not correcting the negative patterns. And it's so critical to everyone's, because we're all part of the collective.
Yes.
And I think it really is that when we live our highest potential, that does get fed into the grid of the earth, and sent out in waves, and we all can help each other rise up by doing our own part through our own healing.
Yes.
Everything will start to correct itself because of the collective consciousness can demand it and expand what needs to be expanded on. So yes, absolutely.
So let's talk about the unseen world, because I just spent a few days with Dr. Joe Dispenza doing a bunch of meditation in Denver. And so he does something, and we were talking about it here for our facility. He does this coherence healing where, it's similar to Reiki, except you got four practitioners, and then you have the healee, and we're pouring our love and I showed my team here recently. There's a video from China where energy healers go in there, and you can actually see a tumor shrink in someone, So because in reality, this is where the real power is, in the unseen world. The Bible calls it ether, Tesla called it plasma, the Chinese call it chi, Indians prana. To me, this is what Dr. Joe teaches, is go into the field of infinite possibilities, create it there, and then bring it here. And I find that when we can do that, it's so much better.
Oh, absolutely. I love Dr. Joe.
Oh, he's amazing.
He's awesome.
He's amazing.
And I have seen him. You can't help but get energized when you're
Oh,
in the room with him.
exactly.
Yes, and I think that's the concept of with the manifesting. It's like, well, what do you want to be?
Yeah.
Regardless of what's going around you now, make the choices for how you want to be and the energy you intend to be, and let that pull you through. And then the universe will do the rest.
Yeah.
It's actually waiting for you to get out of the way.
Yes.
So it can bring you what you say you want.
Yeah.
Right.
But why don't they teach us this when we're kids growing up, and teach us in kindergarten, first grade, second grade? You know, therein lies part of the problem. This is why I like to see all these systems fall, because I really think I think it takes a village to raise a child. We need community with responsibility and integrity, and we need to teach real stuff, what real food is, what real work is, and what real love is, and what contribution, gratitude, joy. We got to get to that soon, I think.
I agree, and I think you touched on it earlier, is that it's in the process of happening.
Yes.
I truly believe that's a big reason for COVID.
Yeah.
I hate to go there momentarily, but
that's okay.
I think it really helped us to
wake up.
see.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we were forced inside our homes. We were forced to isolate and think, hopefully, and say what needs to change. And of course, that takes eons and eons of time, because it's slow here in the third dimension. But it needs to happen, and it's starting to happen. And you know, all those old forms of control and hierarchy and power over need to fall away, which will just take time.
Yeah, you just hit on something so important. That I was watching a Greg Braden video interview this morning, and he's talking about these 26,000-year cycles that are broken up into 5,150-year cycles. And I really believe on December 21st, 2012, when the Mayan calendar ended, we started a new 5,000-year cycle.
Yes.
And if you look at if you quit listening to what they tell us and you start looking beyond that, there was sophistication and all this stuff, technology like we don't even have today. If you look at how the pyramids were built, we can't even duplicate that today. So you tell me what was going on back there. So I think we are entering a new cycle. And you said something that really bothers me, but it's true. Time moves really slow here in 3D.
Yes.
And when we get into the field of infinite possible, see, Dr. Joe, you know, matter changing matter. And when we do our retreat, the first week is a physical detox, matter changing matter. Then we move into energy work. Then we move into consciousness and some plant medicine, deeper meditations. And now we got energy affecting matter. And we test after, we test them before they get here, blood and all that. We test after a week of matter changing matter. And then we test again after energy changing matter. And it's going to be fascinating to see what happens. We don't start our first retreat till October. But I'm so excited to see this data, because I really believe that in this 3D reality, matter changing matter is so slow. But if we can get here, we can speed everything up and become the best version of ourselves faster, and become a powerful creator like we can't even imagine today. And that's what I'm excited about.
Oh, absolutely. And I love what you're doing. And it's so true. I mean, and you, again, have glimpses of that, right? It's like when you're on task and you're on your mission, time doesn't seem to exist.
Yes.
It's the same, it's like a quantum physics type of approach. And same thing, it's like when I'm working with a client over Zoom, they feel that energy shift.
Yes.
It is very real. And I will warn them in advance that you will feel this is like an energy detox.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay. And then they'll get on the phone with me on Zoom, and they're like, you were right. I'm exhausted and I'm exhilarated and I've got this. And this person showed. And it was like, yeah, you've affected your quantum field, and it's shifting around you.
I'm going to share an example from today, not for your benefit, but for the audience benefit.
Sure.
So I'm dealing with a heart issue. My heart's out of rhythm, so it makes me very, very tired, and it's affecting my sleep. I'm gonna fix it or die trying, because we're doing this health retreat. So I have to fix. But it's, I take full responsibility. I think if you're going to be a creator, you take full responsibility for everything in your life. They want to tell me it's genetic. I promise you, I created this with my way of living, right, when I was younger. So, but my point is this. We were having a meeting at 9 o'clock, and man, I was just dragging. I didn't have any energy. And we start this meeting, and I start sharing my vision with the team of this retreat that we're building. And all of a sudden, it's like, I'm not tired anymore. I have more energy than I've had in a long time, because we were on purpose, and a higher purpose. And this is a purpose of contribution and giving back and healing others. Then universe comes in, and all of a sudden the cells start vibrating at a higher energy, and they start taking in more nutrients, and the mitochondria starts preparing more. So it is physical and it's non-physical at the same time. It was the non-physical dream vision of this amazing thing that I'm so excited to create, was able to give energy to my body, and then working together, all of a sudden I feel great.
Yes, absolutely. Or you use that adversity to move you forward.
Yes.
Like, I did with the breast cancer. It's
Yes.
like, I don't know how long I was going to live. I don't know how long I am going to live. No, none
Right,
of us
right.
do. And we all suffer from something. And so you can choose how to spend your time in a positive state or a negative state. And it doesn't mean ignore things like a heart condition or
Right.
things like that. That comes with the package of being human.
Yes. And the truth of the matter is, I ignored it for 20 years. 20 years ago, the doctor says, hey, you got a high blood pressure, take these pills for the rest of your life. Well, if I was smart, I would have said, well, what is causing this high blood pressure? Because there's only 20 side effects for each medication you want to give me. And I could have solved the problem back there with meditation or different kind of exercise or a different diet, eliminating sugar, who knows, okay? But you just hit the nail on the head. When these wake-up calls, ladies and gentlemen, when they show up, pay attention early, and you won't be suffering long-term effects like I am today and having to deal with it when you're 66, when you don't have as much energy. So that's a little lesson there. Okay, so I think, I'm inspired by you. Your teachings are profound. Your life experiences led you to this deep depth of knowledge and awareness and consciousness and this open heart to love and serve. So if I'm watching this, I'm in the audience, and I want to be coached with you, how do I find you, and what would that coaching be like?
Sure. Well, the best way to reach out to me is through my website, which is pattyoliver.com, and it's Patty with 2 T's and a Y. I know it's spelled lots of different ways. And I have, there's 2 options. I have an online course now where I teach you how to access your own Akashic record, and I lead you every month in answering questions, and so that you're not left to your own devices in that online course. It's very much a collaborative effort.
Which would be better, one-on-one with you or the online course?
Oh boy, I hate to. That's such an individual thing. It depends. If you're going to work one-on-one with me, it's a 6-month program now. Okay. So I've done away with the single one-on-one.
Once a week.
I have it every other week.
Okay, and for how
6
long?
Months.
So if I'm working with you, it'd be every other week. For how long would we get together?
6 months.
No, but is it an hour session?
Oh, gotcha. I say anywhere from 30 minutes if it's a brief check-in to an hour, sometimes even an hour and a half if you've got a lot of questions, or I'm clearing a lot of karma, or we're discussing a big event. I mean, I hate to put a time limit on it because
you never know.
We never know. Right. Yeah, we never know. So I make sure I, have enough time.
And so let's just say you and I just had an hour coaching session.
Yes.
And we're going to meet again in 2 weeks. Would you give me exercises or workbook, or would there something happen between those 2 weeks? Something where I'm working on?
Yes, all of the above. Yeah. So the first several sessions is all about clearing karma, right? So it would be a lot of me talking to you and at you about, Mike, do you recognize this pattern? And I'm getting this energy, and it's at this chakra, and it might lead to this type of condition. And hopefully you say yes to most of that.
So you'll be able to you can pick up my energy via Zoom, and your intuition will kind of guide you into what's really going on. And what if I'm bullshitting you? You picked that
Well,
up?
let me redirect that, because I work with your Akashic record and with your spirit guide.
Okay.
And they tell me about you.
So I can't bullshit you.
No. And if you try, I can call you out. And I often do. And I say, yeah, no, that's not how I'm seeing it. Anyway, well, okay. It ends up being some calling on the carpet, but we need that, right? And it's really fun to work with those who are particularly skeptical, because I usually can convert them pretty quickly. And it's not to show off; it is what it is. So I would share that with you, and then I would say, okay, here's new action that you can take based on what I found in today's Akashic record reading. So how can you do that in this particular instance? What do you think? And so I tried to get from you what you would be willing to do. And then I also give you some homework, if you will, to recite positive mantras, affirmations, saying to the universe, look, I no longer want to be part of this contract, energetic contract, this vow, this whatever it is that I've found. And again, because you are in charge, right? The universe says, okay, let's clear Mike.
Yeah.
And so it will come in, and you will feel that energy, and it will bring with it people, situations, or
thoughts and ideas as well.
And thoughts and ideas for you to make a new choice.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, and I tell people, you're going to get something in there that you're going to have to make. You're going to be confronted.
Right.
What are you going to choose?
Okay. I got to ask you this, because we're running out of time, and I really want to know. Your online course, which looks amazing, by the way, you call it a self-healing course. And
yes.
And I concur that if it's interesting, we have these eyes always looking out, but the truth is, when we go within, everything we need is there, we find, for healing. Yeah. But you were a breast cancer patient. And so then, and back then, you're a completely different person, I realize today. So as a fully evolved person, or a person that's in this evolutionary process, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and all that, for you right now, if you were to get another diagnosis, would you look at it differently? That's what I'm trying to say. Based on when you were first, you had a diagnosis back then. How would you look at it today? And what would you do anything different?
I would look at it as I've somehow allowed this to be a condition, and
can I ask this another way? Because I don't think it's fair to ask of you, because I don't even want to put this energy out there. Mm-hmm. I'm a young woman diagnosed with breast cancer. And because, I had a foundation. I worked with 100 women with breast cancer, and we would give financial grants. And so a lot of them said, hey, I wish I could do natural healing, but there's no money for that, and insurance won't pay that. So I'm a young person, or the 40-year-old woman diagnosed with breast cancer. And what would you recommend as all the treatment options? What would you advise me to look at? Because I have Western medicine, and I have an oncologist, and they want to do this, this, and this. What else in addition to that? So they call it integrative, right? So what?
Yes.
What would you suggest?
Well, I think energy healing, I mean, maybe I'm a little bit biased,
right,
but it works beautifully with all the traditional therapies.
I agree.
And the reason that it works so beautifully is that it gets to the root cause fast.
Yes.
It's like, this is where it started. This is how you're perpetuating it, and negative energy that's allowed to persist could potentially, not always, could potentially create disease or problems in the physical body. This is a particular track. And so while you're working with your medical team, and while you're working with maybe a counselor or whatever it is that you're working on, just bringing in some whatever energy healing resonates to you. Reiki is great. The Akashic Records is great, because it can tell you why you made the choices that you made and where it started, and it can bring that healing, and then that allows for the physical body to relax, to get that nervous system to calm, and its natural healing mechanisms will kick in, and then everything else just simply works better.
Because really the tumor is just a symptom of something deeper.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a powerful way to look at it. I really thank you for that. Well, here's what I will say in closing. One, If I had time, I would love to be coached with you for 6 months. If I had time, I would love to buy your course and take it. And someday I hope I am able to do that, because I find you a great teacher, a great communicator with such profound knowledge, and someone that's gone through it. And so I can trust you, right, and feel comfortable with you. So I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking your time today to share with me, especially, and our audience. And I know many people got a great takeaway from this. So thank you, Patty.
Thank you, Mike.
Right.
I really enjoyed our conversation.
All right, guys, if you want to know more, go to pattyoliver.com. I think you'll find an amazing blessing there. And I'm going to be right back with our Mountains of Hope segment. See you in a second.
Imagine if you could tune into the frequency of creation, the vibration that connects you to the source of all abundance. That's what the Creation Frequency course and book will show you how to do. You will learn from Mike Murphy, who used this technique to go from a miserable and hopeless situation to a successful and happy one. You will also benefit from a 7-week program, a private community, and new tools. The Creation Frequency is not just a course or a book, it's a way of life. Join now and see for yourself.
Discover a new you at Mountains of Hope, the ultimate wellness retreat. Detox your body with doctor-approved juice fasting and IV nutrition, using fresh fruits and veggies from Colombia's rich soil. You will be tested throughout the process according to your and your body's needs for a personalized experience. Relax your mind with yoga, meditation, while learning to heal yourself by following a 9-week doctor-supervised protocol. Heal your soul with emotional support from our caring staff, who will follow up with you for a year after your retreat. Mountains of Hope, where transformation lasts.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Boy, you know, I have to tell you, I've lived an amazing, extraordinary life, but it continues to get better, richer, deeper because of meeting people like Patty Oliver. Let me elaborate. She lost a spouse. I lost a spouse. She had breast cancer. I created a nonprofit foundation to help women with breast cancer. We're building Mountains of Hope so that we can give scholarships to women with early diagnosed breast cancer. But what a great, beautiful teacher. You know, if you're struggling in your life, I would really encourage you to reach out to someone, either her or someone like her. Hey, we all need help once in a while, and there's nothing wrong with that. I've reached out to people for help my whole life, and of course I've found great wealth of information from reading books and studying the greatest teachers in the world. So I encourage you to do that. Let me talk a little bit about breast cancer. A lot of people come to me and say, Mike, you're 66 years old. You love golf. You got all the money you'll ever need. What are you doing? Why are you down in Medellin, Colombia, building a healing and retreat center and putting all your money into that? Putting all your time, energy, and effort. You hardly ever even golf anymore. And it's pretty simple. One, it won't leave me alone, this concept, this idea. So it's really not me doing it, to be honest with you. I feel as if it's happening through me, that I am the conduit for this, and that I don't have much choice. In fact, maybe none. Because there's been moments where I've tried to step away or push back and just won't let me. But the real reason is the suffering that I saw. You know, of course, with my own wife, 9 years. It wasn't all suffering for 9 years, but there was a lot of suffering. So the initial shock and reaction when a 29-year-old woman gets breast cancer, and that initial year was very difficult, losing her hair 2 or 3 different times, tons of chemotherapy, surgery, radiation, probably 18 months, which was not very fun. And then she started to get better and better and better and better. And then we got married. We were just boyfriend and girlfriend when we started this process. And we, in 2002, and we got married in 2006. And then she really wanted to have a child. And the chemo had cooked her so badly on the inside that we had to do in vitro fertilization. And so we went to that doctor, and he said, listen, I'm going to flood her body with hormones, so you got to go back to the oncologist and get his blessing. And when we did, that's when he found a tumor in her clavicle. So now stage 4, and then it's bones and lungs, and it just becomes. But you know, we fought it for 3-4 years. It wasn't terrible, but then on December 1st, 2010, the doctor said, unfortunately, the cancer spread to the lining of your brain. If you do nothing, you have 6 weeks to live. And if you treat it, you have 6 months to live. And we never even discussed it. We just went into, let's fight this, let's beat this, you know. And every day I watch this amazing woman fight like crazy and go through hell to try to live. And I'm grateful for every single extra day she was here in body. But every night she would prepare to take that last breath. And I was blessed to be a witness to that. And forever changed my life, as did her death. For those of you going through grief, it's, you know, I always tell people your life will never be the same. That's the bad news. But the good news is you'll never be the same if you go through it. If you stay sober and you go through it and you feel it, and you'll come out richer, deeper, better. So, and that's what I loved about the interview with Patty. And that's why I'm doing this work, because after my wife Margot passed, I met another woman, 38 years old, stage 4 breast cancer, named Amanda. And I was asked to help her. And again, Margot hadn't even been gone for a month, and I'm right back in the same hospitals, in the same situation. And I saw, you know, she didn't have the resources that we had. So I started a nonprofit foundation working with women that were below the poverty line, giving them financial grants while they went through treatment, with the purpose being that they don't have money to begin with, then they get sick and they can't work, and simultaneously their expenses go up, and there's no safety net for those women. So I saw a need. I tried to fill it for about 4 years, and well over $1 million. And the truth is, it worked occasionally. Occasionally a woman would take our support, go through treatment, get well, and go back to work. But it was definitely less than 10%. A lot of times it was sicker, 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 die. Or it was never going to end. And I couldn't afford it, frankly. And so then I said, okay, what can I do to help strengthen their immune system? So I think I bought 150 water purifiers, God knows how many juicing machines, and I'm buying vegetables. And now these women think I'm their doctor, and I'm a car salesman. So obviously that wasn't sustainable. And so that's why I came to Columbia, to build a place, a healing place, not only for women below the poverty line battling cancer, but for anybody that, you know, has something that they need to heal, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual. We treat the whole organism, and I think it's important. You know, you just can't write a prescription and say, hey, go do this and you're going to get better. Man, we got to learn to meditate. We got to learn to detox. I mean, no one talks about parasites in America. We got to heal these emotional wounds. We've all been hurt, and if we don't heal it and let it go, it festers. It's energy. That's the beautiful thing about Patty. It's all energy. You know, Tesla said you want to understand the universe, you have to understand energy, vibration, and frequency. That's all that's going on here. And when you're sick, you're vibrating at a sick frequency. And so you're going to attract more sickness until you can rise above it. You've got to become something bigger and better than what caused the illness. You know, so you have to, as Dr. Joe would say, break the habit of being yourself. You have to become something new. And it's in the becoming that the miracle takes place, that the healing takes place, and the growth takes place. And that's what we do at Mountains of Hope. We show you how to go within and realize that everything you will ever need is already within you. You know, the brain is one of the greatest pharmacies in the world when it comes to making chemicals that will serve you. And, you know, that's why people get depressed, because they're making the wrong chemicals. That's why people get sick. They're making the wrong chemicals. That's why people get overweight, because there's too much cortisol, adrenaline. They burn out their adrenals. Now they have no energy. There's so much to this, and we're not taught it. That's what frustrates me, okay? My wife, Margot, was 29 when she was diagnosed. I was 44. What the heck did we know, you know? I was busy raising kids and building a business. I didn't know any of this stuff. Of course she didn't. She was 29 years old. It was a shock of a lifetime to have this diagnosis at that age. There's so much stuff that we're never taught. And once we learn it, God, we feel so much better. We find peace that passes all understanding. We find energy that we never knew existed. We find mental clarity that takes us to the next level. And life becomes much richer, much deeper. And once we take care of ourselves, and we have this energy, and we have this clear mind, and we have this beautiful, open, full heart, then we can go out and we can serve others. And that's why we're here. You know, I talked the other day about purpose, right? But that's our highest purpose, is to serve. Serve our Creator, and by serving others. You know, and if you want to fill your heart with joy and love and compassion, do it. You'll be shocked. It will forever change you, and it's addicting. And once you get a taste of this, and there's spiritual laws to this where you'll be blessed beyond your wildest dreams. You know, the Bible says, pressed down, shaken together, overflowing, or whatever it says, right? I know in my own life, you know, I might give someone money over here and be blessed with a brand new relationship over here. I might help someone over here that's struggling and just spend time with them and be blessed financially over here. But it's not 1x, it's 10x, it's 20x, it's 50x. So get out of yourself. Find someone that you can love and serve, especially if you can do it anonymously or it's a stranger, and your heart will be full. Until next time, go out there, live your life with passion, and manifest the life of your dreams.
Thank you for listening to The Power of Your Voice with Mike Murphy. This podcast is brought to you by Mike Murphy Unfiltered, The Creation Frequency, Mountains of Hope, and the Love from Margot Foundation. These sponsors are dedicated to helping you unleash your full potential and live a life of joy and abundance. If you enjoyed this episode, please visit our website at mikemurphyunfiltered.com and subscribe to our podcast.